Hi, gonna do a quick breakdown of yesterday's target, 23rd of Feb 2026. So looking at this challenge, initially I kind of see two elements here, like the one starting on the left side of the screen and the other one on the right. So they're both circular and cut off, like two circles being cut off. So you could treat this as two elements, but radial gradient is really handy for this kind of thing because you can basically create repeating circles and then change the size of the circles, their position, how many repeats there are, that kind of thing. There are a few tricks used in this, so I want to kind of start off like how I would first do this. So first thing I would do is set the background color of the HTML to that, and then on the body then I would start with my radial gradient. So let's just start. So first color in the radial gradient is that light blue. Say that's at about 30 pixels. Next color is this lighter blue. We put a 0, so basically starts at 30 pixels and then continues to say 80, and then we have another blue band. So we'll do, I'm just estimating for now, we want something kind of like that. Okay, and then first, the next thing we need to do is position this correctly. So I'm just going to put an outline on here so I can better see where the body element is positioned, and then give it some margin. Okay, now it's where we want it right now. We can see the outline fits there. From there, first thing I want to do is add basically the ratio of the ellipse. So we're just making it the smallest possible value, 1q, and there we've got a kind of symmetrical circle. I don't know what you call it, not an ellipse basically. And then the next thing we want to do is position that. So we want it at the bottom, and that looks correct. I mean, we could say we want it at the bottom left. So let's start off there and then first correct these values, the size values. So we know that this value is right, the first circle. The next one we want to start a bit larger though, 100 pixels, and then this one 200. Okay, that's what we want. That's the exact kind of background radial gradient we want. Next thing is the position, so we just set that to 0 for now. We're not going to change the position of it. And then the width of the background gradient, so we set it to 100 pixels wide, and it automatically starts repeating there. But now we don't actually want it at the bottom left, because then it'll always cut off the left side basically, and we need to see the left side for the right side of the target. So instead of doing it bottom left, we just do it bottom, and then we increase the size of the background so we can fit this correctly. Let's change the background position here. Let's try minus 100 pixels. That looks kind of right, except our background now is too large. 400 pixels is not right. We want more like 300. 300 is too little. 350. Okay. Let's see, if we just take this out, we don't actually have to set the size. The position is all we need. So let's just play around with that then. So what do we want? Something like 180. Perfect. Great, that looks good. That's the goal. This matches the solution. Now it comes to the optimizing. So I mean, we can change these values. We can make them can use Unicode to make them smaller values. But I would say before we even get there, I want to see if we can reuse any of this, because I've got two backgrounds and one of them can be reused. If this background is applied to both and these values are different, then we could basically, if you see I just changed those values, then we have that pure light blue color, which is what we want. So I'm going to show you first the long way of doing this. So if we go like that, now the styles are applied to both. Body is still correct, but now the HTML is wrong. We don't want this these lines to show on the HTML element. So what do? We want to change this value. So we can make that a value 30 pixels on the body, and then this second value 200 pixels. Let's just see if we change that. Yeah, so I'll put another variable in here and then set that on the body, make that 0. Great. Okay, we're getting closer now. Now we only have one background rule. Obviously this is longer, and ideally we don't want to use two variables, but here comes like a handy trick with using font. Font is really useful for this because you essentially get two variables for free. Like this font declaration sets the font size, the line height, and then if you just do a starting quote like that, that sets the font family. But you usually just put a like a single quote, and then the browser kind of auto completes that or just assumes it's something else, because we don't need to set the font family. But let me show you what I mean here. So instead of, take out these, so instead of 30 pixels and 200 pixels over here, what we can do is make this the equivalent. We make this a really small value in line height, for example. So if we do 0.1 line height, then you can see that dot is tiny on the HTML element. That'll pass. That's like small enough to still get us 100%. So we use this first value, like line height, as the one variable, and the second value that we want to change here, we can make this something that relates to font size. We're going to use CH because that's the, I think it's the character height. So yeah, basically that value is too high to render anything. It's not going to, it's like the color stop is in the wrong position basically for this to work. So on the HTML element at least. So what do we do here on the body is we set the font size to say 50 pixels. You'd obviously have to play with these values to 50 pixels, and then line height to 6. And then you obviously play around with these to get the size that you want, get it to match, and there you go. You've essentially got two variables, line height, like we're using it here as line height and character height, and then setting those variables in with a single property with font. It's a very efficient way to do things. This is kind of the end product. So let's see if we can just optimize this further. So we can whip out our unit golf tool. We check for what 180 would be. So a perfect smaller unit for that is 45 view width. We've still got a lot to optimize here, so we can get rid of this space because the browser will basically auto complete this as 0.1. We can take that out completely. 100 pixels, I know it's 25 view width. Okay, that's 132. We can get to 129. And then we know 50 pixels is about the same as 53Q, more or less. Yeah, so that's close enough, 53Q. And we can still drop 2 characters here somewhere. Oh yeah, we've added the 1Q over here, which means we don't need to add the last color stop. There we go. There's 129 characters. That's it.